holistic approach on rejuvenation of rivers, जिसके लिए आमंत्रित करेंगे श्री राजीव कुमार मित्तल जी को, डायरेक्टर जनरल नेशनल मिशन ऑफ क्लीन गंगा, NMCG, डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ वाटर रिसोर्सेज, रिवर डेवलपमेंट, गंगा रिजुविनेशन, मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ जल शक्ति. Over to you, sir.
Respected Chair and the dignitaries on the dais, distinguished guests. As this session is mainly focused on river and the coastal management, so this presentation covers the first part of the topic, which is the river rejuvenation. The problems of the river are well known, whether it is urbanization, whether it is climate change, all of them are leading a considerable stress on the quality of the river. Just to set the right context, as per the CPCB's latest report, out of 600 rivers which they monitor, roughly 311 stretches and 217 rivers fall in the polluted category. Now, Honorable Minister has already mentioned that the Government of India is having two major programs towards the conservation of river. One is National River Conservation Plan, and second is the Namami Gange program. It is important that we should understand what are the major innovations which have come in these programs, what are the major structures which have been created in this program, and how the efforts of Government of India are being taken forward to clean the various rivers. Namami Gange is basically an integrated river rejuvenation program which focuses on all aspects of the river and the river system for cleaning. Just for the ease of understanding, the program is having 5 major components: Nirmal Ganga, Aviral Ganga, Earth Ganga, Jan Ganga, and Gyan Ganga. This is just a way to club the various interventions and to have a broad facet on the approach being adopted for cleaning the river and rejuvenating the river. The Nirmal Ganga aspect basically focuses on the pollution aspect, various kind of STPs, nature-based solutions, and other technologies to clean the river. Aviral Ganga is more focused on the flows, how to restore the flow, how to revive the wetlands, how to restore the riparian vegetation. Jan Ganga is more on the people's participation, how to connect people with the river. And Gyan Ganga, one of the very important, strong components of the program, is towards research, policy, and acknowledgement for the entire river. Now, some of the learnings, some of the important points which have emerged during the implementation of the Namami Gange program and are worth replicating all over India. One of the basic concepts which is different in terms of the Namami Gange is the IND approach. Rather than going for a comprehensive sewer network approach, which normally takes a lot of time and time consuming, and the river continues to be polluted, the Namami Gange program followed interception and diversion approach. So the idea was that whatever is going to the river has to be treated, and only that after it should be discharged into the river. Second is the hybrid annuity model. We all know operation of STPs, the quality of STPs is a major challenge before us. So through the HAM approach, the model which was successfully operated in the road sector, in the highway sector, this was also applied to the sewage sector. And we got very encouraging results in terms of performance, in terms of quality of constructions, in terms of accountability. So HAM model is another innovation which came through the Namami Gange program. Third advantages are the compressed biogas generation and the solar powered STPs. It is a fallout of the HAM approach itself. Because of the HAM approach, a lot of good players entered the market, and then they tried to minimize the capex as well as the opex cost. I'm very happy to inform you that in some of the recent bids of the Namami Gange program, the O&M cost has come down to as low as 15 to 20% of the projected bid cost because of the innovations people are doing in terms of solar power as well as the compressed biogas. And finally is the packaged STPs. Namami Gange also encouraged for decentralized STPs, and in some places, especially in the hilly areas and some congested areas, we have been able to install these decentralized STPs. Another aspect, another lessons learned towards the Nirmal Ganga component of the program was the industrial pollution control. We all know all the pollution control boards normally are supposed to sort of regulate and monitor the industries. But instead of following a purely regulatory approach, we followed a participatory approach. The 5 major sectors in the Ganga basin, pulp and paper, sugar, distillery, textile, tannery were identified. And charters were developed which were very comprehensive in terms of the processes, in terms of the inputs, in terms of the outputs. And detailed processes were laid out, and these charters were rigorously followed with the industries, and the results were encouraging. Second thing was the third-party inspection of the grossly polluting industries. Instead of focusing on all the industries, certain heavy polluting industries were identified, and their inspection was carried by the CPCB, State Pollution Control Board, along with the third-party institutes for inspection. Inspection, rather than focusing purely on compliance, was also suggestive in terms of future improvement. And the results of that have been very encouraging. The compliance of GPIAs, which was around 40% in 2017, has risen to almost 82% in the 2023. Another aspect of industrial pollution was we facilitated innovation and research towards the CETPs, the Common Effluent Treatment Plan. A fine example of that is the Jajmau 20 MLD tannery cluster, which involves latest technologies and is one of the Asia's largest CTP for tannery, which has been constructed with the help of NMCG's funds. Now, besides the hardcore civil structures in form of CTPs and STPs, other initiatives which we are trying to promote through the Namami Gange program are the soft initiatives in terms of nature-based solutions. So we have done some pilot projects in constructed wetlands. One of the very polluted rivers in northern India, River Kali, is being tried through wetland systems which are being constructed. And another is the soil-based soil biotechnology, which has been implemented in some hilly areas in Devprayag and Uttarakhand. Now, besides the pollution abatement, one of the important learnings in the Namami Gange has been the restoration part. So while considering the pollution part, it is very important to also take measures by which we restore the river system as a whole. The river cannot be used only as a river flowing as a channel. It has to be taken as a whole system in entirety, covering the wetlands, the floodplains, and in entirety. So one of the major exercises we are doing in Namami Gange is the recorrecting riverine wetlands. We have taken an inventorization of all the wetlands which are falling along the 10 kilometers bank of the Ganga, and all these wetlands are being taken up on prioritization for rejuvenation. Second aspect is biodiversity conservation. So while considering river, it is also very important to take the biodiversity of the river in entirety. Like in Ganga River, the turtles, the fishes, the hilsa, the mugger, the dolphins, all are very important. So suitable steps have also been taken towards releasing and breeding these animals as well as releasing them into the river water. Third aspect is afforestation. We have taken extensive afforestation in terms of all the river banks along the Ganga bank. Next is biodiversity parks. In Gangetic floodplains, we have identified various biodiversity parks which needs to be cultivated, restored, and taken back. So as of now, a lot of works are going on in those respects. Another aspect is floodplain zoning. One of the distinguished speakers, will be telling about the efforts being taken in the UP and Bihar towards the floodplain zoning, so I will not elaborate much on that aspect. And final aspect is spring rejuvenation. In certain hill areas, like in Uttarakhand, we are also taking steps towards the spring rejuvenation, and certain pilots have been carried out. Now, this is as far as the Aviral Ganga is concerned. Another very important aspect of river, I think which we all should focus, is restoring the e-flows. Ganga is historic in that sense that Ganga is the first river in India for which a e-flow notification has been issued, and minimum quality of the river has been assured in the river. And this notification is very rigorously monitored. The monitoring responsibility has been given to CWC, and all the 11 projects on the river are rigorously monitored over a three-month period basis, and it is ensured that the water which is due for release to the river is being released by these projects. Besides Ganga, we are also carried out studies for Yamuna River, Ramganga River. These studies have been completed and further work is in progress. And besides that, fresh studies are being carried out for Son, Damodar, Chambal and Tans. Idea being that all the rivers in Ganga basin should have some kind of a flow mechanism to ensure availability of the water. It is very important, besides treating the pollution in the river, to also ensure flow in the river. Because whatever dilution standards you have ultimately require some flow of water, plus the entire biodiversity also needs water. Now, besides the main river, other main activity which we have now sort of undertaken is the small river rejuvenation. There are many small rivers which connect to the main river in any river basin. So it is also important to focus on these small rivers. And in the rejuvenation of these small rivers, the people participation becomes a very important factor because they affect livelihoods and other issues. So just to mention, in UP, they have developed a GIS-based inventory of the small rivers, and using Manrega funds and other funds, they are carrying out small river rejuvenation. One of the examples which has been shown before you is river Sasur Khadedi, where a lot of work was taken through EGS, including Manrega, and these kind of activities were carried out. Some of these models have also been tried in Bihar. So presently in Falgu River, some kind of activities are going on, and in Baya River, which is in Begusarai, a woman-led movement undertook a lot of restoration for the small rivers. So this is also emerging a very important area when we are talking about the river rejuvenation. Now, besides Nirmal and Aviral, a small component is on Earth Ganga, which is to see how in terms of economy, how in terms of revenue generation, the river can be helpful. So some options are in terms of development of cultural heritage and tourism. We have carried out an extensive cultural and tourism mapping of the entire Ganga basin, and efforts are on with the help of Tourism Ministry to develop bankable projects along the Ganga basin. And second aspect is circular economy, which the previous session also focused upon. I mean, reuse water can itself be a big source of income to the municipal corporation and the local bodies. Now, another aspect of the river rejuvenation is Jan Ganga, the fourth component. Here the idea is to connect people. Various initiatives are being undertaken in terms of Ganga saviors, riverfront developments, and sort of awareness campaigns from time to time. And one of the strongest components of Namami Gange is Gyan Ganga. The entire program has a very strong scientific and technical backing. We have a Ganga Knowledge Center, which is a repository of all the knowledge on Ganga. We have almost 700 to 800 dedicated specific research papers, literature, which is dedicated to Ganga, which is being maintained there. We are carrying research studies with eminent institutions like IIT Kanpur, TIS, WIIE, all very specific to the rivers. Third, this Knowledge Management Center also developed specific products from time to time. One of the latest products which we have developed is the SOPs for river-sensitive gatherings along the river banks. In fact, our website, if people go through, carries all these knowledge products which can be helpful to everybody. And then we have capacity building initiations, and we also have a center of excellence on water reuse. Now, as a part of Gyan Ganga, just to institutionalize whatever knowledge we have learned while implementing the Namami Gange, two important initiatives have been development of urban river management framework, and second is River City Alliance. The whole urban planning approach, I mean, as far as we see from the river lens, is flawed, and there is a need to correct that planning and to give it a river perspective. So without dwelling much into it, because there is a movie subsequently on this aspect, so we have developed a URMP framework, and almost 6 to 7 cities have been covered under that, and a lot more under progress. So the request to all the states would be to have a look into it and try to take it forward. And along with the URMP, we have a River Cities Alliance, where almost 145 cities are member, where all the river knowledge is being shared in terms of knowledge products, in terms of webinars, and all such activities. Now, in terms of knowledge, other important initiatives which we have taken, one is Smart Lab for Clean Rivers. It is a very interesting project. It's a partnership between India and Denmark. And we are using the Denmark knowledge to develop some decision support systems for Indian context in terms of prioritizing inventions, in terms of emerging pollutants, in terms of hydrological modeling. And the device which you see is a first of its kind study. Normally we do STEM studies. This is a very special device we got from Nagpur, from Denmark, where a device moves along the rivers and captures the entire profile of the riverbed. And along with that, we have developed some special river atlases which are useful for the district in terms of the products. And similarly, we have carried some condition assessment and management plan studies for 6 river basins: Narmada, Mahanadi, Godavari, Krishna, Kaveri, and Periyar. And we have a very strong monitoring system, because all the efforts don't go well unless you have a very strong monitoring system. So we have a Prayag. Almost all our STPs are connected through OCMS systems to the Prayag. And these are some of the outcomes, the way the Ganga River is monitored. In terms of 2015, we can see it was priority 5. In terms of Uttarakhand, it has reduced to non-polluted. Improvements can also be seen in UP, Bihar, West Bengal. And similarly, in terms of NRCP program and other state government interventions, wherever state governments have made focused efforts, wherever NRCP program has focused, results have been seen, whether it is Sikkim, JK, Manipur, Gujarat, certain rivers have shown improvements. And finally, just to summarize, the key takeaways from this presentation were, rivers have to be treated as a system as a whole in terms of improving the entire system as a whole rather than focusing on one aspect. Basin-wide approach is better to be followed if we want to see good results. Third thing is, we need a very strong and scientific technical approach to the entire mission, and it should be supported by some kind of a top-ranking academic institutions. Whether it is a Ganga River Basin Plan, which is a consortium of 7 IITs, all our plans are backed by good institutions. And finally, we need to have integrated and holistic approach, because rivers involve urban development department, environment department, water resource department. So unless we integrate all these efforts, results won't be seen. And finally, we have to focus on restoration and adoption of nature-based solutions. We also need to create institutions which can focus on rivers. Otherwise, it is difficult to see results in the states. And finally, community participation. Thank you all for patient hearing.
Thank you, sir.